fourth stimulus check update and daily news update, the situation in Philadelphia and Typhoon Ida, new $2,000 climate change and weatherization stimulus package in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, and most importantly, how all of this leads to our prospects of a fourth and recurring stimulus check. That stimulus and a whole lot more in today's video. It's Show Me the Money right here every day on the Ron Yates channel community, your go-to channel for the latest accurate updates on stimulus, the U.S. economy, and personal finance. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and always hitting that like button. I really appreciate you guys. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the friends, family, and community members bearing the brunt of Typhoon Ida. And it's not just Philadelphia that's feeling the pain here. We have reports of similar flooding and damage from all over. Here are some of the photos. Heavy rains and flooded walkways at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in New York City. Here's the flooded subway station in New York City. These are New York firefighters rescuing a woman from her stalled car. This is the damage in just one company in New Jersey. Members of the Walden Fire Company walking through floodwaters in Dresher, Pennsylvania. A flooded tailor shop in Pennsylvania. The typhoon aftermath in Maryland. Let me know how you guys are doing in the comments down below. How's the situation where you're at? Any damage to your house? Drop me a quick comment down below. And to help you out, we have the Red Cross website. It says here, if you need help now, you should contact your local Red Cross. They also have a shelter directory where you can refer to. Again, we're praying hard for you guys. And here's hoping that your loved ones are safe and dry. President Biden and government help should get there soon. Now to our community members who want to help, share this video with your friends and your loved ones on social media so that we can reach more people with our information. There's also a link for ways to help on the Red Cross website too. Senate Budget Chair Bernie Sanders was quick to come out with a related climate change message.
The so-called 100-year flood is becoming more likely to happen every year. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but scientists from Princeton and MIT are now telling us that as global temperatures continue to rise, 100-year floods could become annual occurrences in parts of the United States. Our Republican colleagues have children, they have grandchildren, and how in God's name they can look those children and grandchildren in the eye and ignore the destructive forces of climate change and what kind of planet we're going to be leaving to those kids. Hurricanes and extreme weather disturbances are nothing new. They have always taken place. But what is new is the frequency and the severity, and nobody now can doubt that that is caused by climate change. Everything being equal, unless we get our act together, the situation will become worse. I don't need to remind you, you know better than I do, that just 13 years ago, the stage right here, this location, was 8 feet underwater. Cedar Rapids experienced what scientists call a 100-year flood. What we do in this bill is put hundreds of billions of dollars to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel. We put money into communities that are already suffering the brunt of climate change and what it means in terms of flooding and lack of electricity. This bill will be the largest single investment by far in American history in climate.
We are highlighting this on our stimulus channel because it could really mean some serious stimulus money in our pocket, guys. The climate change provisions in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package in Congress right now include consumer rebates to encourage clean energy and weatherization in homes. Now, don't sleep on this one. A local example of a weatherization program that we found provided moderate income households 50% of the project cost right back up to $4,000 or $2,000 for higher income households. There's also rebates for air sealing and insulating the attic or the basement. For moderate income customers, a $500 incentive is available per area up to $1,000. Higher income households are eligible for a $250 incentive per area up to $500. And this is just a local program. This could definitely scale up with the large federal package in the works right now. There's also talk about the tax incentives for clean energy and electric vehicles in this bill. Comment down below if you're driving an electric vehicle. Now, aside from that, there are some pretty interesting expansions to the Medicare and tax credits, like the earned income tax credit for individuals with no children. Now, let's look at some clues on how they could possibly make this happen. A House bill introduced in July by Representative Lloyd Doggett. This would include things such as dentures, preventive relief, and emergency dental care, refractive eye exams, eyeglasses, and hearing aids and exams. There was also this one broader healthcare-related bill that cleared the House in 2019, but was not taken up by the Senate. Under that proposal, beneficiaries would have chipped in the standard 20% for some dental coverage. Major treatments, for example, bridges, crowns, root canals, those would have cost more. Dentures would have also been covered within limits. Now, aside from that, they also included routine eye and hearing exams, as well as hearing aids, contact lenses, and eyeglasses. Now, as for the earned income tax credit, Representative Gwen Moore recently reintroduced her proposal to expand and modernize the earned income tax credit. Now, according to the proposal's text, the maximum credit for single filers would rise to $4,000 and married filers would receive a maximum credit of $8,000. Now, much like the child tax credit, the earned income tax credits would churn out monthly payments under this proposal. According to the text, the WRCR Act includes an option for recipients to receive 75% of their estimated credit monthly. Taxpayers may elect to receive the payments by direct deposit, low-fee debit card, or check. But let's cross our fingers here, guys. And more stimulus money talk in just a bit. As usual, we save the best for last. And that's how this will all turn into a fourth stimulus check for us all. Sound pretty good? It's part of the $3.5 trillion budget package, with some of the provisions aimed at natural disasters, like what just happened with Typhoon Ida. Democratic Representative Darren Soto of Florida, he talked about the historic nature of this legislation. Are we just going to sit here and watch as hurricanes get worse and worse in the Southeast? Heck no. We're going to act. That's what this legislation does. A big part of the committee's allocated funds would be put towards reinstating the Civilian Climate Corps. This group will do quite a few things for us, really. Employ thousands of young people across the country, address the threat of climate change, maintain the nation's deteriorating public lands, and improve its natural defenses. So it means jobs and a safer home for our kids, basically. So, no complaints here. Now, what to watch out for? Senator Joe Manchin's already saying that he'll oppose the $3.5 trillion budget bill. He wrote a Wall Street Journal opinion piece saying, "I, for one, won't support a $3.5 trillion bill or anywhere near that level of additional spending without greater clarity about why Congress chooses to ignore the serious effects inflation and debt have on our existing government programs." Now, to further highlight this point, Manchin's opinion piece mentions debt 6 times and inflation 5 times. So now, Manchin is calling for a strategic pause on the matter. His exact words, "A pause is warranted because it will provide more clarity on the trajectory and it will allow us to determine whether inflation is transitory or not." Now, just a quick note here. We also found a news report showing Fox News parent company's PAC donated money to Manchin's campaign. Now, for everybody's context, the Fox Corp Political Action Committee is funded in part by conservative media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Interestingly enough, Murdoch also owns the Wall Street Journal, where Manchin published this opinion piece. In the second quarter, Manchin also received contributions from many other big corporations, including Pfizer, T-Mobile, Nucor, Honeywell, and Herbalife. Or is it Herbalife? I never know which one it is. These are some of the companies that are lobbying hard against this $3.5 trillion stimulus package because they don't want those corporate tax hikes and reduced drug prices. So is Manchin receiving money from the big businesses who are also against the stimulus? So just imagining Manchin's shoes right now. It would definitely be hard for him to push for legislation that his donors are lobbying against. But what do you guys think? Of course, I'd admit, I don't know the whole situation, but this is just my take. Help the people, stimulus, no stimulus, like, where are we at here? Now, as for Manchin's supposed debt and inflation argument, many other Democrats, including House Budget Chair John Yarmuth of Kentucky, have argued that the U.S. has the capacity to spend much more money on domestic priorities. At a recent committee hearing, Yarmuth said that the federal government has the fiscal space to do what we need to do. The federal government is not a family, and it's not a small business. It's not a local government. It's not a state government. We can spend whatever we need to spend in the interest of serving the American people. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen also released her own opinion piece on the topic. She said Biden's economic agenda, including the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, is fiscally responsible and paid for by the reforming of the tax code. Here's her talking about it right here.
So my largest concern is not what are the risks if we make these big investments. It is what is the cost if we don't.
Now, Yellen called out 4 destructive forces that threaten the nation's long-term growth: declining labor force participation, wage polarization, and climate change.
Fiscal policy can help unwind them. or the lack thereof can intensify them. And we know this because that's exactly what's happened over the past 40 years.
She wrote, I question whether we can give Americans the economy that they should and can have. If we remain a country where renting a home eats up the lion's share of your paycheck and owning one is just out of the question, where young people can't gain the skills to compete in the job market because they can't afford the tuition bill, or where Americans must make a choice, have children or have a job. That's pretty tough. And she points out 3 reasons why the trillions in spending that President Biden has proposed is not an overinvestment. Real interest rates are negative, meaning borrowers are credited interest instead of paying it to their lenders, and the Congressional Budget Office expects interest rates to stay low for at least a decade. Low interest rates means more money to spend by consumers, and this could help boost the economy. Tax increases will go to the wealthy and corporations, not American families. The investments are spread out over time and are paid for by raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations without impacting those making below $400,000 a year. It would be a lot more expensive to not invest in infrastructure. This comes directly from Janet Yellen. She says, my largest concern is not what are the risks if we make these large investments, but rather what are the risks if we do not. Really, guys, there's too much on the line not to do this right now. It's also important to note that Yellen is the first woman to have chaired the U.S. Secretary of Treasury, chair of the Federal Reserve Board, and the White House Council of Economic Advisors. So she probably knows what she's talking about here. Democrats basically have less than a month to pull this off. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has ordered committee leaders to battle it out with their Senate counterparts to resolve all major disputes this week on what will be included in the up to $3.5 trillion bill. She and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer are doing this high-velocity multitasking thing as the only way to lock in the 2 sweeping packages that'll get us all the stimulus. They are racing to forge deals between the progressive and centrist Democrats to allocate new spending for Medicare and Medicaid expansions, drug price reductions, green energy subsidies, child care subsidies, the child tax credit, and paid family leave. And we're certainly not forgetting that 4th stimulus check, guys. There's Representative Ilhan Omar's proposal for a federal guaranteed basic income program. And again, that's a nationwide program that'll give up to $1,200 per month for adults and $600 per month for kids. Now, of course, there's also the Automatic Boost to Communities Act from Representative Rashida Tlaib that will give out straight up $2,000 4th stimulus checks and follow up with $1,000 monthly stimulus checks until a year after. Then there's a sweeping House resolution to end poverty from Representatives Pramila Jayapal and Barbara Lee. This includes stimulus checks via cash assistance programs, in addition to minimum wage increases, expanded unemployment insurance, canceling debts, affordable and public housing, as well as free education. Now remember, guys, if any of these proposals pushes through in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package that we're working on, we'd be good. So there is a lot of opportunity for additional stimulus checks, the 4th stimulus check. That's as long as we can keep up with the heat from the Republicans and even the moderates like Joe Manchin. Now, if you guys want to know more about the stimulus programs that are mentioned here, definitely check out the channel playlist section. In the playlist, we've got the 4th stimulus check, we've got Social Security, we've got rental assistance all in one spot. Just check out the channel playlist section right after this video. And don't forget to grab your free giveaway before you go. It's our special gold newsletter, really your key to hedging your money against the financial crisis that all of the experts are warning about. Read more about it in your own copy in the pinned comment down below. So that was your 4th stimulus check update and daily news update. We covered the situation in Philadelphia and Typhoon Ida. We covered new climate change and weatherization stimulus in the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, and most importantly, how all of this leads to our prospects of a 4th and recurring stimulus checks. Now, if you guys want more Show Me the Money news and updates, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. I will be sure that the stimulus flows right into your screens. Oh, and I just want to thank you guys so much for lighting up that like button. I really appreciate that. All right, guys, until next time, I will see you guys on the next video. Take care and be safe.